Welcome to Focus on Why, the podcast where reflection sparks action. I'm Amy Rowlandson, and together we'll explore compelling stories, profound insights, and transformative experiences from inspiring guests worldwide. Feeling lost or unfulfilled? Searching for clarity, purpose, or meaning in your work and life? This podcast invites you on a journey of self-discovery to align your work with your values, shape your future with intention, and create a purposeful way of life. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why. Before we dive in, let me share how I can transform your journey as a purpose coach. I specialize in helping you get crystal clear on your why, aligning your passion with your purpose, and crafting a plan to create the life you truly desire. Book a free 30-minute coaching call today. The link is in the show notes. Let's start building your purposeful future together. Today on Focus on Why, I'm joined by Lucy Henshall. Lucy, hello.
Hello, Amy, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, opportunity it is, but let's see what it is that you are focusing on at the moment.
My skin tingles when you ask me that question, because after a fairly tortuous journey lasting years rather than months, I've arrived in early 2025 bursting with excitement at what lies ahead, which has come as quite a surprise to me, because reconciling the end of my career as a traditional GP took me a very long time, and putting together again the parts of me that lost their way, and two parts of me involving two names and my work life and my other life was a complex journey. And now in 2025, I'm sitting here, it's freezing cold in Suffolk in February, but I've just come back from an adventure in Cuba, doing something I never thought I could do. And it's unlocked in me something very exciting about what else can I do that I didn't know I can do, and what next, and what more, and where next. So what am I focusing on at the moment? I'm focusing on all of the possibilities. It's like my intuitive self has suddenly opened up to all these exciting and intriguing and previously unexplored pathways. And having closed the door to one aspect of my career, I have time, I have opportunity. So opportunity is a great word, great place to start this conversation. I feel like they're just all out there waiting for me to go pick from the smorgasbord.
Oh, I love that. A smorgasbord. Yes. And that tingling, Lucy, can you tap into the tingle and explain what it is, what emotion it is that is giving you that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, it is an emotion. It's a very emotional feeling that anything is possible if you have a go, and just opening up to what might be possible, um, what might be under your nose that you haven't previously seen. And I've always been intuitive, but I think in my professional career, my intuition had to be tempered by the way things need to be done. Medicine is science and art, but the science and the service seem to win over the art, and it's very energizing now to be able to put aside the rule book and play. I've just finished reading The Celestine Prophecy, which I don't know when I bought it, but I found it on a bookshelf in our house, and my skin tingled every time I read the next chapter. It's like, oh, it's just about being open to chance, about serendipity, about coincidences that are more than coincidences, and following the crumbs in a way to the next thing, but without having a clue where it's all going. And it all sounds quite woo-woo to my old world of general practice that has to be done in a particular way. And that's why I'm loving it, because I've torn up the rule book, I've opened the playbook, and I'm curious and experimenting, adventuring.
So this
I don't know
curiosity,
if that explains the emotion, but it's liberating, I think, is yeah.
and this curiosity, Lucy, this liberation of allowing your intuition to guide you once more, to take you on these unexplored pathways of what else, what more, and where next, and unlocking that possibility and opportunity within you. What is it that you wish to use as your guiding principle for all of what's to come?
A deep trust, I think, in it's a knowing. It's a deep trust in a knowing that you can't get it wrong. You might love it, you might not love it, you might be good at it, you might be rubbish at it, but there isn't any wrong. So that sounds a negative. How would I put that in a positive? It's all there for the taking. It's like, have a go. Why not? Give it a whirl. See what happens. You can't see round the corner, but go find out what's round the corner.
I talk about
It's
an
it's
ex
a newfound self confidence. Yeah.
And I talk about this tap into the tingle. It's one of the exercises I have in my book and I use with my coaching clients. And it's about that primal response of goosebumps, which does signal a personal and meaningful experience of inspiration or connection or awe or joy or pride or excitement or nostalgia, whatever it is that's instigated that. And you just said about this trust, this deep trust that's now going to be guiding you. It's really exciting. And yet you described right at the beginning that you had to go on a torturous journey to get to this point. Tell us more.
Uh, I mean, I am still a GP. I was a GP in my substantive career and for decades, and that was my way of being. And it wasn't until it completely came apart unexpectedly, some just over 10 years ago, when I had a personal health crisis, that everything that I took for granted kind of caved in around me. In literally in a moment. In an ultrasound scan room when I discovered I had a pelvic mass that looked sinister. And my medical brain did what doctors' brains do and made a narrative out of a collection of circumstances and told me, therefore, that it was unlikely, this was August, and that I was unlikely to see Christmas, which was a pretty confronting experience. And everything, time stood still. I can still remember sitting in a car park for 2.5 hours thinking, how do I drive home? What do I do? What do I do next? It, what followed, unfortunately, involved a whole string of circumstances. My husband had a major accident 6 months later, and within an 18-month period, we went from being traditional GP senior partners of two practices to both being unemployed and broken, and trying to navigate our way through some other external circumstances that were pretty difficult, even if we'd been fighting fit, but we were both on our knees. So all of the rules, all of the ways people behave, all of the things you expect to happen, all of the frameworks that you believe will be there to support you weren't. And the work that I now do with other GPs has been born from that very deeply personal experience, and one which my husband and some other close friends shared a while later, of it's all fine until it isn't. And then you find that you're incredibly alone and isolated and cut off, and left to work it out for yourself. And it's not easy to get back onto a spinning roundabout. I've often used the analogy of the roundabout in the playground. All the kids are, speeding, pushing it as fast as it can go, and you're the child that's sitting on the tarmac, looking at it, going, "I'd like to get back on. Could you slow it down and make room for me?" And everybody's either not seeing you or not interested, or says, "Well, just jump on. It's fine. There's room. Just jump on." But without the insight that you might not be able to jump on at 1,000 miles an hour. You might need to get on more slowly. So it was it was a very long and difficult period for both of us. Navigating our way back to something that we'd never intended to leave, with other people believing that either we left and retired, or that all we had to do was just do X, Y, Z. Very, I think our peers, my peers, and I'm sure it was true of me in times past, make a lot of assumptions about what people need to do, and then tell them, you just need to do this. Yeah, there isn't a problem, you just need to do that. And actually, when you're in that position and you try and just do that, it don't work, because it's a complex world, and there are barriers that are unseen until you meet them personally. So it was, yeah, I learned a heck of a lot. And I wouldn't now want to have not had that experience, but I hated a lot of it during it. It was bloody difficult, excuse my French. It was a really tough time. But I think I am a much more happy, functional, and much more interesting person now than if none of it had happened. Just takes quite a long time to reach that conclusion. I think you need the benefit of hindsight to see it. In the midst of it, it's like ploughing through treacle.
And with that roundabout analogy that you used there, you said it's not easy to get on it. It's also not easy to get off it when you're on it, spinning round and round, and it's going so fast. So that opportunity that you had for reflection, albeit an externally triggered one that you didn't necessarily instigate, still has taken you to this point here. And it's so often the case with purpose that you only really consider a more purposeful way of life with a major milestone or incident or health scare. And then it becomes so clear as to the route to go forward. It's stepping out of the frame and being able to see the true reflection of what's going on. You mentioned earlier, Lucy, that you'd just come back from an adventure of doing something that you didn't think was possible. What was that?
So last spring, heading towards my 60th birthday and also our eldest daughter's wedding later in summer 2024, I was very aware that there were endings and landmark moments in our life beyond which there was a bit of an uncertain kind of, what am I? What is the focus? So rather intuitively, I have been noticing for some weeks postcard for this Cycle Cuba charity ride, and with hindsight, playing a game with myself, because the very first time I saw the advertisement, I thought, well, I'll be going on that. But it was probably 6 weeks before I actually did anything about the I'll be going on that. I knew it, just didn't tell anybody. And again, this intuition was like, yep, that's the thing. And it resonated for multiple reasons. My husband had lived in Cuba as a toddler. So I've always had a curiosity about the country, but mainly because I'm not a cyclist. But I thought, I'm going to turn 60. The wedding's going to be over. I need a thing in the future, like a fly fisherman casting the line out into the river. I need to throw a line into the future and have something to aim for. And I think getting physically fitter is a good thing and will open doors. I had not, when I signed up, at all expected to absolutely love cycling, particularly cycling on my own with no fixed destinations. Again, I call it my intuitive bike rides. I head off into the back lanes and I don't know which way I'm going to go till I get to the junction and I see which way the wind's blowing or the sun's shining or what calls to me. But the combination of physical exercise, improved fitness, and just going out exploring has been fantastic. And spending 8 days in Cuba in 30 degrees in February was marvelous. The cycling was tough, but because I'd done a lot of training, it actually wasn't as tough as I thought it would be. So a year ago, I would not have believed I could do what I did the week before last with a great big grin on my face, 24/7. absolutely loved it and raised over £5,000 for the breast cancer research charity at the same time. I'm very happy with.
So with this renewed confidence or this new light that you're shining on the confidence of what you could subsequently achieve if you then set your eyes on it, and not even knowing what all the benefits are going to be, just knowing that there's something there that is calling you to it. This new lease of life that you're now experiencing, that you're only experiencing because of having gone through that torturous period, which you said you would not change, which is often the case, of that it was an important process to go through. What is it that the intuition has been telling you that you've been ignoring all these years?
A really good question. I think I I'm recognizing that I have within me all of the things, all of the traits that I need to live life the way I want to. And that includes my work, that it is within my gift to carve a path that doesn't yet exist and do things that haven't yet been done, to design and model a way of returning to work for GPs, and to not know what it's going to look like next year. We've now have our NHS funding our last NHS funding has just dried up. So come April 2025, there'll be another refresh, which is how are we going to do this in the next phase? I work with one colleague. How are we going to do this without any of the money? And does the money actually matter? And if I'm completely honest, I'm actually quite excited about that phase, because the money has come with the wrong kind of strings, with the need to report numbers when what needs to be reported is stories and themes. And so unshackling myself from yet more of the NHS-ness is really exciting. I should be sitting here worrying about the finances. I'm not. I'm excited for being able to go even more intuitively into it and see what conversations appear in front of me and where they lead. Some of the most exciting and most interesting conversations I've had professionally have been in, waiting rooms, on trains, at the water cooler at a conference. It's not the meeting where the real work gets done. It's being open to the possibilities and chance encounters and meeting people who share values and ways of being. I'm really excited for that next phase.
Oh, Lucy, you so talk my language here. I love it. And when you just said there about it's within your gift to carve your path, taking that personal responsibility to not outsource this to anyone else anymore, and to really know that this is for you to choose, for you to really understand and appreciate what matters to you, and as you said, with your values. I talk about euthymia and eudaimonia, and I don't know if you've heard of either of those things.
Refresh me.
So it's something, so euthymia is something that Seneca describes as believing in yourself and trusting that you're on your right path, and not being in doubt by following the myriad of footpaths of those wandering in every direction. And it's then a case of combining that with what Aristotle called flourishing in the pursuit of what's worthwhile in life, which is the eudaimonia, and which is essential to thriving. So I call this combination your desire path. So what is it that you desire? What is it that you are carving consciously and with intention to pursue on a path, or pursue a path and stay on a path that's authentic, that's authentically aligned with your values, and that you are then ensuring that you're living your life. So I'm really keen to understand this way of being. I talk about way of life. My grandfather talked about it in my book. This way of being for you, there's a touch of, as you said right at the beginning, this serendipitous, opportunistic, coincidental fate that you're allowing some things to occur, but also there's a very conscious, I actually know what I want as well, coming in here?
I'm smiling as I'm trying to form the sentence, because I spent some of those wilderness years, as my affectionate nickname for some of the more difficult spell in the last decade, trying to work out whether Dr. Lucy Henshall was going to do this thing, or Lucy Solowski, which is my married name. And for the bulk of my career, those two existences had been kept separate in a healthy way, with the boundaries that are necessary when you have a professional career, but you're also a wife and mother. And I used my two names. I'd qualified under my maiden name, Henshall, and I'd used that name with great pride, and I still do, as actually the only medic in my family. But I allowed myself to be Mrs. Solowski the rest of the time, because then I can sort of take off that cloak of professionalism and be mum and do other things. When I didn't have a substantive job, Dr. Henshall was a bit confused as to where am I, who am I? And I spent lots of time trying to put these two bits of me together, and then have long arguments with myself about, but which one is going to do whatever it is you do next? Are you going to retire and be Mrs. Solowski? Are you going to be retired Dr. Henshall and do something else? Fast track to where we are now, of course it's all of me. But it's taken me years of playing with patchwork versions of which one of me is this. And it's like, it's all of me. So I almost don't want to have a surname now, which sounds really strange. I have been in my head writing a book for as long as I can remember. And I do write quite a lot. I've spent the last 20 odd, nearly 25 years doing a form of reflective writing for practitioners. So I write lots of things and poetry. And I think if I was to ever publish, the same question pops up. Is it Dr. Henshall, or is it Lucy Solowski? And I think, no, it's me. I'm just being Lucy. So I have this book title called Being Lucy. Don't know that anybody necessarily would ever want to read it, and that wouldn't matter to me, because if I ever write it, it'll be written by me for me. But it's that bringing together of all of the parts of me are who I am now and where I'm going. And actually, the words are just words, the names. I can be both of them. I can be either of them. I can be all of them. I don't know if that's an answer at all to your question, but it's something that I've become very aware of. Why was I trying to separate out or have definition when I am all of me?
I don't think I asked a question even. This part has led on from something I shared about the desire path and carving it out. But in essence, what I'm hearing is this identity crisis, and also the necessity of having very clear boundaries of one area of your life and another area, so that you are present in both. And the name helped you to identify what you were bringing to each of those different elements, but also to have, you called it a cloak of professionalism, and then, you know, be mum, and that sort of split responsibility of who you are and different. The name helped, and now a case of actually I don't need either, because neither role are currently featuring right now. I mean, yes, you'll always be a mum, but in terms of the daily interactions, now they're flown and grown, or grown and flown.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was to do with being fully present in each place, but now I can be fully present as me. In all of my parts, and all of the things that have gone before, the career, the parenting, the being a child myself, my family background, all of it has shaped the me that is now. It's not either or. Yeah.
No, it's not either or, and that's the thing. And I love your phrase of all of me and all of the parts, because we do have many parts to us that serve us in different situations and circumstances. Where does purpose play its role in this conversation with being Lucy?
I've become aware through the work that I do supporting other GPs that it is the all of me that is why it works. And that includes, well, I'm going to say the obvious, because I think to you and I it is obvious, but it isn't obvious to everybody. The vulnerability of, I was in your shoes being in that role, and then stuff and this is what it was like for me, without sharing the dirty laundry or the nitty gritty with people, being open to sharing the insights and the learning, and not wearing that professional cloak, being completely human. We start our work, generally speaking, over a cup of coffee in a cake shop, if we, or coffee shop if we can, with a piece of cake. Get to know people, because I want to get to know all of them and where they're trying to get to. And it's not about following rigid protocols or what it is you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to be, which is why unshackling from any NHS connections is quite exciting now. They've been helpful, but they've also been a hindrance. It's really lovely to be able to say to people, where are you trying to get to? How can we help? Not, I see you not working, you need to go over there and do a certain thing like this by a deadline, and then we'll sign you off. That is absolutely not my way of operating. My way of operating is to show up as me. And I might be wearing orange floral dungarees, and we might be on a walk somewhere, and we might be on Zoom. And I might turn up saying, yeah, I'm a bit tired too, bear with me. I've got a bit of a migraine today. Migraine's been a bedfellow of mine for 40-something years, and in a way is a critical friend, is a blessing and a curse. Migraine keeps me on track and tells me when I'm going off track. And I used to not mask it, but be embarrassed by, it's awkward. Having a migraine attack at work, inconvenient. Inconvenient mainly to other people. Now, if something happens and I have to pull the plug, sorry, I've got a migraine, but I can rebook for Thursday. How's that? So it's that, I suppose, honesty. Yeah, complete honesty. None of us are perfect. We're all deliciously imperfect. We've all got our quirks and foibles and things that trip us up. And I weave that into the way I work. It's like, yeah, me too. Yeah.
And that throwing away of the rule book and now using the playbook to navigate your deliciously imperfect future. And when you just said about the two questions, where are you trying to get to and how can we help? It brought me straight to the question that was asked by the medical director in New Amsterdam. And it's a TV show, and I get it. But it is about, for him, it was about throwing away the rule book and literally bringing a new perspective to an old way of medicine, of an approach. And that's what I feel is what's happening here. It's using the experience of what's worked or what's not worked, but it's also being open to possibility. Tell me what it is that you are noticing happening now, being more open to intuition, to being Lucy, to all of you.
I say yes to things that I might have worried about before. Twice in the last couple of weeks, I've opened emails with invitations for speaking engagement, and I've gone, yes, without really reading what it says, because I thought, yes, I can go and do my thing in that forum. And I look more closely at, particularly the more recent one, which I haven't replied to yet. I look more closely at what is it that they're asking me to do. But actually, what I know in my bones is they want some of me. Somebody somewhere suggested me to them, or they found me. Whatever it is I do will be the right thing at the time. So I'm going to play with that opportunity. I'm going to take that 35 minutes at a conference in Birmingham and give them what I think is relevant in that moment, which is, again, not the rule book that I was trained in, where the first question was, what is it you need me to do and how am I supposed to do it? And you can hear the dullness in my voice. It's like the smallness. It's this expansive kind of, yeah, hell yeah, bring it on. I wonder what will happen on the back of that. And I'm finding these opportunities are, I wouldn't say they're flooding in, but they're coming more readily because of that openness to the possibilities, the conversation, the chance. Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier about how you feel liberating this chance and serendipity and opportunity coming to it feels liberating for you. And I'm wondering, this purpose playbook that you're now creating, what else it will create for you? What other freedom will it give you that you are no longer restricted by?
There are things that I would like to share, to say, um, to offer. I'm not here to tell anybody how to do things, but I have got a huge bank of insights and experience from the large number of doctors we work with over the last 7 or 8 years, probably 130, 140 GPs. I have this wealth of stories and observed and shared experiences that needs to be told, and told in the way that I and we feel can influence change. And it's not a reporting. It's not a look what we did and how many and how fast and how cheaply. It's about sharing a vision for a different way of doing things. The vision that my colleague and I share for Welcome Back to Work is, we see a world in which every GP feels supported to flourish. That's the way we view things. And we come at it from a celebrating every individual for who they are, what they bring to the world. And just because fate has dealt them a collection of circumstances that means for a relatively short time out of a long career, they're not doing the thing, and they're not doing it in the way that everybody thinks they should be, doesn't mean they are not extraordinary individuals, hugely talented, hugely valuable, and somehow playing back into the NHS system, but from the outside, deliberately from this orbit around it and outside, saying, look at this, look at these people, look at the value they bring to the work. Why would you not want to hold on to them? Why would you not make space for people to return on their terms, not being a greedy thing, but on their terms, because at that moment in time they have some needs or requirements. I mean, to be absolutely clear, the doctors I work with are amongst the best I've met in my career. These are not people with performance or conduct problems. They're not dodgy doctors. They're people to whom real life has happened, because real life happens to all of us. But there's been an unforgiving culture of, well, if you can't do it all and you can't do it with the productivity and the speed and the output that we expect, it's all a bit inconvenient, so we better find somebody else. It's very unkind and very wasteful of extraordinary professionals. So it's delicious to be holding space for these people and celebrating all that they are, and then helping them work out, how do we get this show back on the road in your next phase of your career, which quite often looks different to how it had done before, because of that empowerment and trust in their own decision making. Actually, I now need to work in this way or in that sector or with this focus. Stuff of careers conversations that sadly most NHS doctors don't get to talk about. It's not part of our training. We're indoctrinated into a way of being, and we've those who fall off the roundabout, in a way, end up with rich insights into life and permission to do it differently. They become disruptors, and that's not always popular, and that's also okay. That's very okay.
And this shift from assumption and judgment and a preconceived way of being, which is pretty unforgiving in the way you've been describing it, to shift into a new narrative of understanding and compassion and celebration and empowerment and trust, and all of the parts being celebrated. This focus for you, this focus on why, what does it then give you and those who you're celebrating and working with?
For me, I get immense pleasure in seeing people flourish, seeing people develop and spread their wing. I mean, I'm physically sort of sitting up and putting my shoulders back, and I want to flap wings, and it's like they're birds of paradise. You know, they've gained the wings that have been clipped. They've gained their wings back, and so to see people flourish again is it's a deeply privileged thing to do. I am conscious on a daily basis. I met somebody earlier this week whose story deeply moved me, and to walk with them. We don't do to them, we walk with them, we support, we are guides, but not tutors. We don't tell, we share, we're there. But it's wonderful to see what happens over time, and to watch a network build. So we've created what we call our alumni, and all of the people who belong to it see in each other these positives, and so there's a mutual nurturing, and that's just a joy. People ask me, are you still working, Lucy? And I go, yeah, no, I mean, well, I do this thing, I love it. I don't know, is it a job? I'm not sure. You know, I love it. It's the thing I do, and money can help make some of the practicalities happen, but it's certainly not the reason why I do it. And so the removal of a funding stream at the moment doesn't threaten what we do or how we do it. It just creates a few headaches with some of the things that need to get done that have costs.
Goes back to the migraine, you know, it serves its purpose as well. The headache of this, it's serving a purpose because it will help you to think in a different way of a new solution. This reflection with action that you've experienced, and how you're taking the why into very purposeful motion forwards, it is absolutely the essence of this podcast, of seeing purpose in motion, seeing somebody who has had this deep understanding of what's important and then making it happen in reality. What's important to you, what's important to the greater world here. It's been a privilege to hear your story, Lucy. Honestly, being Lucy, all of the parts, thank goodness they've come together in this way, because it's just incredible. So thank you for sharing why you do what you do, why you are who you are. It really is a wonderful testament to the whole reason of being, of seeing purpose at play. It really is just incredible. How could people reach out and connect with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
We have a website which will be getting another refresh this spring, and welcomebacktowork.co.uk has a contact us page, and I have a presence on Twitter, which I might yet leave, Blue Sky, which I'm still exploring, Facebook, which is in my maiden name, Silovsky, and LinkedIn, that I'm still learning about. But any of those places, very, very open to contacts and communications.
Incredible. Well, all those links are in the show notes, including the ones that you may or may not still be active in when this episode goes out. Absolutely. Lucy, again, thank you. Tell us what it is that you'd like to share and leave some incredible final words.
I have a pebble on my desk that I'm handling as we speak, on which I have written 3 short phrases that a very dear friend said to me some years ago, and it's: be brave, be bold, be you. And when she said that to me some years ago, I wasn't quite sure what she meant, but I get it now. And I think it's an invitation to live, and to live fully and richly, and to go for it, because you cannot get it wrong.
This episode's over, but let's keep the conversation going. How has this episode impacted you? Share your insights, takeaways, and reflections with actions on social media, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Your feedback creates powerful ripple effects, helping others to discover its value. Want to dive deeper into purpose? Check the show notes for links on how to work with me, where to buy my new book, Focus on Why, Create a Purposeful Way of Life, available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook, and where to sign up for Friday Focus, my weekly newsletter. Have a purpose, have a plan, focus on why.